Hi guys, so after much waiting and much rumors, AMD is finally announcing their third generation Ryzen CPUs. The main difference is that it is a first 7nm CPU for the desktop, and it is the world's first PCI Express 4.0 ready PC platform. The main difference with the older processors is that AMD has now separated the I/O part of the chip in a separate die, and the cores are in another die. That dies are called chiplets, and the new CPUs can use one or two chiplets with cores that potentially will give you more than 8 cores. So the full list of announced processor today are Ryzen 9 3900X, which is the first 12-core desktop CPU, not the from high-end desktop platform, and it has 12 cores, 3.8 GHz base frequency, 4.6 GHz boost clock, 105 watts TDP, as much as the previous leader of the Ryzen processors 2700X, and it has a massive amount of 70 megabytes cache in total, from which 64 megabytes are L3 cache and the other 6 are from the L2 caches of the cores. Each still has 512 kilobytes, and the price is $499, which is a bit higher than 2700X, but it is pretty much the same as the original top Ryzen CPU, Ryzen 7 1800X. Now the next CPU is Ryzen 7 3800X and Ryzen 7 3700X, and both of them are 8-core 16-thread processors, where each has 32 megabytes of L3 cache and 4 megabytes of L2 cache. The main difference between the two is that 3800X has 105 watts TDP again, with base clock of 3.9 GHz and boost clock of 4.5 GHz, and the 3700X has lower TDP of 65 watts and of course lower frequency, 3.6 and 4.4 GHz. And of course a difference in the price. 3800X is $400 and 3700X is $329, which is exactly the price at which Ryzen 7 2700X launched. So basically you get substantially lower power consumption and higher frequency for the same price. And the last are Ryzen 5 3600X and 3600, both are 6-core 12-thread CPUs, 32 megabytes of L3 cache, and X model has 95 watts TDP with 3.8 4.4 GHz base and boost frequency, and the lower tier 3600 non-X model has 65 watts with 3.6 and 4.2 GHz frequency. The price are $249 for the 3600X and $200 for 3600. Now there are obviously other differences. Let's see, probably here. So AMD is claiming 13% or more like 13% IPC uplift against the Zen Plus cores, or 15% uplift against a Ryzen 1 or original Zen cores. The L3 cache is doubled per CCX, and the floating point performance is also doubled. That is because the AVX units are now 256 bits wide instead of 128 bits in Zen and Zen Plus cores. In gaming performance, you should expect 3800X to be, if we consider this mostly CPU bound games, should be around 25% faster than Ryzen 7 2700X. We have the data from Cinebench R20 in single thread and multi-thread. So you can expect in single thread 3700X to be basically on par with 9700K and 9900K processors from Intel. 3800X and 3900X should be just a little bit faster, though it should be mostly unperceivable. But the main difference is in multi-threaded tests, where the Core i7 9700K is the slowest of the bunch, with Ryzen 7 3700X offering nearly 30% more performance, slightly less than the Core i9 9900K, which is then just a little bit slower than Ryzen 7 3800X. In the end, AMD is comparing their new Ryzen 9 3900X 12-core processor with the 12-core HDT Core i9 9920X processor. And as you can see, it beats it with noticeable margin, though not extremely big. But let's not forget that Core i9 9920X is $1,200 against $500 for the Ryzen 9. As you can see, Core i9 9900K, which should be around the same price as the Ryzen 9, is massively slower in multi-threaded performance. That is more than 40% more performance from Ryzen 9. And as we already said, the single thread performance should be just a little bit faster on the Ryzen 9. If you take into account that Core i9 9900K is running in single threaded scenarios at 5 GHz, and Ryzen 7 and Ryzen 9 are around 4.5, 4.6 GHz. In this case, AMD has finally caught and even surpassed Intel on IPC performance, that is instruction per clock. That is quite the news. So you can see a comparison against the original 1800X. As you can see, the single thread performance, that is from IPC and clock speed, is 32% more, and multi-thread performance is doubled in 2 years, in just 2 years. AMD is also launching a new chipset that will support the new processors. That is AMD X570 chipset. That is the first PCI Express 4.0 ready chipset, and it offers a sum of 16 PCI Express 4.0 lanes, 4 of which are used to communicate with the CPU. That leaves another 12 to be used for expansion slots. There are additional 8 USB ports, and there are up to 10 SATA 6 gigabit ports. You can here see the sum for the whole platform. That includes the lanes from the PCI Express lanes from the processor, which has a total of 24, 4 of which are used to communicate with the chipset, 16 are for graphics, and additional 4 are typically for M.2 drives or 2 SATA ports and 4 USB ports. One of the things with the new chipset is its higher power consumption, from different rumors between 11 and 15 watts, and unfortunately that means that most of the boards will use fan cooling for the chipset. However, the reason for this is of course the PCI Express 4.0 lanes and the fact that you can plug additional M.2 drives to the chipset. Quite a few boards have typically 3 M.2 drives, one for connected with the CPU and another 2 with the chipset. And even Corsair have announced an NVMe M.2 SSD with incredible 5 GB per second read speed, so you will possibly be able to utilize this PCI Express 4 lanes even after you buy the new motherboards. Unfortunately, it is expected that X570 boards will be quite pricey. One additional thing, AMD also mentioned a little bit about their expected Navi GPUs. So Navi GPUs will use the RX 500 nomenclature because officially that is for the 50th anniversary of the company, and it unofficially is 10 years from Radeon HD 500 series, which was one of the best series from ATI and AMD ever produced. The Navi will use a ground up new rebuild of the architecture, which is dubbed RDNA or Radeon DNA, which is expected to differ somewhat from the well-known until now GCN. There is changes in the compute unit design, multi-level cache hierarchy, and more streamlined graphics pipeline. The result is that the performance per clock is increased with about 25%, and performance per watt from architectural and the new technological node from TSMC amounts to 50% increase in performance per watt. So if that is true, which we will still not know, that will mean essentially if there is Navi analog of say Radeon RX 590, it should perform similar to a Vega 56, and it should be substantially lower power consumption, around 140 watts, say for example. So it should be quite interesting. For now we don't have much other information with specifics, only that the name of the cards will be Radeon 5700. You should expect more information in E3 presentation from AMD in June 10, and what should be noted is that the Navi graphics card should be expected in July, and for the Ryzen CPUs we have a definite launch date, that is 7th July, and you should be able to pre-order them from 1st of July. So that's it. We will do our best to get some samples to benchmark and give you the results when the NDA falls. That's it. Let's hope AMD has a good year and it's good for us too.